Your Excellency, Vice Minister Shan Zhongde, Distinguished Director of TSB, Seizo Oloyi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the workshop on brain-computer interface, key technical standards and drivers, applications layers. I'm Yu Xiaohui, President of CICT. It's my honor to host this meeting. As an interdisciplinary field, integrate neuroscience and artificial intelligence, brain-computer interface are reshaping the boundaries of human-computer interaction through cross-disciplinary convergence. Their core value lies not only at technological breakthroughs, but more importantly, in bridging capability gaps and enhance human well-being through the power of technology. Promoting the responsible development of BCI technology directly aligns with the grand vision of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, which encompass health and well-being, reducing inequalities and fostering innovation. The purpose of this workshop is to gather the wisdom of global industry, academia, and research communities, and jointly explore the development vision, technical pathways, and industrial application of brain-computer interface. We aim to pool ideas and efforts together to build an inclusive and accessible standard collaboration framework. We are committed to promoting sustained and open collaboration, as well as active interactions, and to work with all parties to take technical difficulties. It is our hope that through the collective efforts of all sectors, BCI technology will evolve toward more extensive applications, serve the development of global society, and contribute to our modest share to enhance human well-being. First, let's welcome His Excellency Shan Zhongde, Vice Minister of Industry and Information Technology of China, to deliver her opening remarks. A round of applause, please.
女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家好！很高兴与各位相聚在人工智能向善全球峰会，共同探讨脑机接口关键技术标准和多样化的应用场景。在此，我代表中国国家工业信息化部，向国际电联和本次论坛的主办单位中国信息通信研究院表示热烈的祝贺，也向各位的到来表示热烈的欢迎。习近平主席指出，要瞄准未来科技和产业发展制高点，加快新的信息技术、人工智能、量子科技、生物科技、新材料、新能源等领域的科技创新，培育发展新型产业和未来产业。脑机接口作为生命科学、信息技术、制造技术、数字技术等多学科集成的创新技术之一，不断为人类健康带来新的福音，创新成果不断的涌现，具有巨大的发展潜力和广泛的应用场景。中国高度重视脑机接口的创新发展，在实践中也探索了一些有益的经验。 一是推动脑机接口技术创新，聚焦脑机接口技术的需求，引导脑信号采集、识别算法、反馈交互等关键技术创新，推动产业界、科研院所、高校、应用机构等主体紧密的合作，形成优势互补、产学研合作创新的相应的这个组织架构，推动科技创新和产业创新深度融合发展。二是拓展脑机接口应用场景，坚持需求牵引和问题导向，推动脑机接口技术在医疗康复、安全生产、虚拟现实等典型领域的应用，加速脑机接口从实验室的样品到产品，最终到市场的商品转化，为健全人群创造全新的交互体验，为残障人士重获能力，为脑机病患者提供新的干预手段。三是构建脑机接口的产业发展生态，促进开放合作与协同推进，通过脑机接口产业联盟等组织汇聚产业链的资源，形成强大的合力，构建技术研发、试验验证、产业推广良性的循环，加速脑机接口从技术的产业化与规模化应用，构建可持续发展的产业生态。四是强化产业的伦理治理，构建贯通研发应用全流程的治理框架，指导产业联盟发布脑机接口伦理治理建议书，探索建立涵盖科技伦理审查、数据隐私保护、安全风险防护等方面的制度规范，为产业健康发展能够保驾护航。女士们、先生们、朋友们，脑机接口技术快速发展，产业应用有序推进，全球合作持续深化，具有巨大的发展潜力和广泛的应用前景。特别是对这种新的技术，更需要大家携起手来，共同努力，加速创新，能够快速的形成产品，惠及更多的需要的人们。这次聚会我也想提3点建议：一是打造开放协同创新网络，搭建全球脑机接口创新的合作平台，加强产业联盟的全球互动，推动基础研究、技术攻关、应用开发与场景落地的合作协同，加速创新成果的全球验证和规模化的应用，共同探索互利共赢的创新模式。我们还是要坚持在脑机接口方面，我们加大开放创新、开放合作、开放共享、开放共赢。二是深化标准合作交流，发挥国际电联等标准化组织的平台作用，建立脑机接口的相应的标准化组织，开展脑机接口体系架构、设备要求、场景应用等标准研制，打造全球协作的脑机接口标准体系。特别是我们觉得在产业发展过程中，有过去的现有产业再有标准，对一些新的技术、新的这种产品和装备，我们应该标准在前，就先有标准，后有产品，再有产业，更好的能够使这个整个世界的协同性进一步来提升。三是协同推进安全治理，建立脑机接口伦理治理体系，依托国际组织的多边治理协调机制，以安全可控为核心原则，通过分级分类监管明确风险边界，为脑机接口的技术健康发展和广泛的应用筑牢安全根基。展望未来，让我们秉承智能向善理念，借本次研讨会汇聚智慧，深化合作，携手促进全球脑机接口技术创新发展，脑机接口产业健康成长，造福世界，赋能构建人类命运共体。最后预祝本次论坛圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Thank you, Vice Minister Shan Zhongde. we extended our gratitude to Mr. Vice Minister Shan Zhongde for your wonderful speech. Next, let's warmly welcome Mr. Seizu Oloyi, the elected official of the ITU and the director of the TSB, to address the conference. Please welcome him with applause.
Vice Minister Shan Zhongde, colleagues and friends. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Brain-computer interface could be life-changing for people with disabilities. They are also creating exciting new possibilities for healthcare, education, entertainment, industrial settings, and so much more. But success will demand extensive collaboration and diverse expertise. That's what this summit is all about. We bring everyone together to help them clarify their respective roles in fast-evolving innovation ecosystems. This also helps ITU refine our understanding of how we could best support you. This workshop will explore the state of the art and key technological challenges. And we will discuss how we could stimulate collaboration on these frontier technologies. Standards development begins with a vision. We look at our ambitions for the future, define their technical requirements, and develop the standards we need to meet these requirements on a global scale. I thank our speakers and moderators and everyone joining us for your contribution to this important discussion. I also thank China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology for its support to this workshop and ITU's organizing partner, the China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. I hope that this workshop helps inspire commitment to collaboration and sharing innovation worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Seizu Oloyi, for your wonderful speech. Next, let's welcome Mr. Frederick Weller, Head of Strategy and Operation for AI for Good at the ITU Standardization Bureau, to deliver a keynote speech, share his insights and perspectives on brain-computer interface. Let's welcome him with applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vice Minister Shan and my good friend, Mr. Yu. The seeds for this workshop were planted in Beijing a few years ago, and I don't know if Yapeng is in the room, but she was instrumental in making this happen. And at the time, I like to think that with AI for Good and ITU, we're always trying to spot the future. And I think we're having some very good discussions there about the standardization requirements of brain-computer interfaces and also what kind of use cases could be there. And if any of you were at the summit last year, we had the world's first brain-computer interface press conference where we invited media to come and look at the applications for BCI. At the time, it was mainly around the use cases for accessibility, so helping people with ALS, and there was a very inspiring story when on the main stage there was a patient in Portugal who had locked-in syndrome. He could not move, he could not speak, he couldn't even move a finger, and by using brain-computer interface technologies, combined with generative AI and combined with old recordings of his voice, and of course a 5G and Wi-Fi network, he was able to communicate with the audience in Geneva. And this was one of the most inspiring moments of my life. And you could see him thinking, selecting answers from Gen AI using a BCI interface, and then the AI used the old recording of his voice so he could speak, and then he could communicate with the audience. And the only sign that you could see he was communicating is he actually had some tears coming from his eyes. So it was very inspiring for the audience, and I think there were many tears in the audience as well. So I think that's the power of BCI. If it can work in the most extreme cases, then we can think about the future as well and how it can benefit society. So with that, on behalf of ITU, I really extend a warm welcome to the world's leading scientists, innovators, and policymakers gathered here today. We stand at a historic crossroad where neuroscience, AI, and the information and communication technologies converge, a frontier defined by BCI interfaces, an interdisciplinary field that's reshaping humanity's relationship with technology through groundbreaking progress. For years, the ITU has remained committed to this domain. Through AI for Good, we have fostered cross-sector dialogue on BCI, and while the ITU-T has closely tracked technological advancements, we maintain regular collaboration with other standardization bodies like ISO, IEC, IEEE, laying a very solid foundation for collaboration on technology synergies. So today, BCI has transcended laboratory boundaries, and I think that's what I was saying before, is seeing the real-life application starting to materialize, let's say, unleashing transformative power to change lives. They restore mobility to those with paralysis, rebuild communication channels for patients with locked-in syndrome, open new windows of perception for the visually and hearing impaired, and continually expand the horizons of human capability through intelligent interaction and horizons of interaction with AI. At the recent AI for Good, we witnessed remarkable breakthroughs, and there's some new breakthroughs here today. So on Friday, there's a patient, his name is Rodrigo, and he's really on the frontier of BCI technologies. And a couple of years ago in Brazil, he was able to pilot a car using the force of his mind. And I think that was just another example of communications and AI pushing boundaries. So these are not mainly technical victories. These are triumphs in human dignity, allowing people to regain some element of their lives. And yet our journey forward demands addressing three critical challenges. So first, it's signal acquisition technologies that evolve towards greater safety, stability, efficiency, non-invasiveness, and precision. Second, the bottlenecks in EEG data accumulation and the barriers to data sharing hinder the optimization of AI models. Third, ethical governance frameworks need urgent refinement to tackle emerging risks such as privacy protection, and data security. And to this end, AI for Good and ITU, we aim to leverage our platform to deepen multi-stakeholder collaboration, advancing integrated efforts across technological R&D, industrial application, ethical governance, and standardization. And drawing on our strengths as a United Nations specialized agency, we will collaborate with the World Health Organization to develop international guidelines for medical applications on BCIs and partner with UNESCO, our partner in ethics, to explore pathways for protecting neuro rights, ensuring innovation remains anchored in human well-being. And actually, when it comes to ethics, I like to think that how can you turn ethical principles into technical specifications and protocols? And I believe that standards is the tool to make that translation of words into action. So I think the role of standardization cannot be understated when it comes to charting a beneficial path for BCI for the future. So it's critical that all of you are here. So friends, we're 160 years old. That may seem like we're very old, but we were the world's first electronic bridge through telegraphy. And today, guided by the vision of AI for good, we want to create a neural bridge. So I think all of the challenges we've faced with our ancestors, thinking about how to connect countries with a telegraph and going through all the technological waves of telephone, radio, TV, internet, satellite, 5G, I think this is the new frontier. So you really are truly pioneers, all of you. So the future of brain-computer interface technology will be a fruit nurtured by the collective wisdom of the world, all of you in the room here. Both cutting-edge explorations in development and in bringing developing countries, and the application practices in developing countries will inject unique impetus into the progress of this field. We look forward to working with all of you, with all countries, to break down these barriers, share research and development resources, and advance achievements that can only serve high-precision medical needs, but also adapt to inclusive people's livelihood scenarios. And I think that's important. We're looking at the whole range of use cases, from invasive technologies to non-invasives, and I've seen many good use cases out in the exhibit areas, and I'm sure in this workshop they'll be displayed as well. And this will enable people in every corner of the world to touch the light of hope brought by technology, making the revolutionary technology truly an inclusive force that transcends geographical regions, ethnic groups, and stages of development. So let's join hands and turn BCI into a universal neural bond, a neural bridge, and that benefits all of humanity. And I also really want to especially thank CAICT, because I think without that meeting a couple years ago in Beijing, this wouldn't be happening here today, and it's very important for the future of AI for good. So with that, I thank you all and wish you a successful workshop. Thank you.
We extend gratitude to Mr. Frederick Werner for sharing his profound insights on brain-computer interface, representing both ITU and the AI for Good Global Summit. Next, please welcome Director Li Wenyu from the CAICT to chair the following session. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I'm Li Wenyu from the China Academy of the Information and Communication Technology, CAICT. I'm also the Secretary General of the China Brain-Computer Interface Alliance. It's a great honor to moderate the next session. In this session, we have two renowned experts speaking in the session. First is the Professor Gerwin Schock, who works at the University of Bath in the UK and has done a lot of effective work in the field of non-invasive brain-computer interfaces. Please welcome Professor Gerwin with applause. Okay, change the, okay. This one.
It's okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Gerwin Schock. I'm really honored to be able to speak to you today. Thank you very much to the organizers, Li Wenyu and his colleagues, who have been so kind to let me speak to you today. I will be telling you a little about brain-computer interfaces today, its promises and also challenges and potential role that ITU and other organizations can play in the future development. We're really at a crossroads here as we stand here today, in that we're transitioning in brain-computer interfaces from a field of many, literally thousands of technical demonstrations to a hopefully at some point mature neurotechnology industry. Just to provide a little perspective, we understand that we've been able to interact with our bodies for a long time. Now, everybody knows devices like this that can tell us a lot about our body, how we walk, our heart rate, and many other things about our body. And we can even interact with our bodies and make changes, like in this fictitious heart surgery that you're seeing here. What we have been much less able to do is to interact with the brain. As you can see, the brain is about this big. It has many small things. It doesn't have bones that we can go in and do surgery on. It's very small. So what we've been able to do for a long time is to provide pharmaceuticals that have chemical interactions with the brain. So we can provide drugs that have a certain effects on brain cells largely throughout the brain. And of course, I don't have to remind you all the amazing things that pharmaceuticals are able to do. That's not the point here. What is the point is that there's a very emerging new way to interact with the brain, which we call brain-computer interfaces. And one could say it's an electrical form of medicine. It's an interaction with the brain that is not based on chemistry, but on electrical interaction with the brain. And what we can do with these devices is not only read from certain areas in the brain very precisely, depending on how we do it, but we can also talk to the brain and can provide feedback and medicine in form of electricity. And by doing this, we can support all different kinds of new applications that really cannot be provided by pharmaceuticals. So we're talking about essentially a completely new horizon of medicine that can provide and really promises to give us things that we cannot do with pharmaceuticals. We've heard about replacing function, for example, restoring function in people who can no longer communicate, walk, speak, and so forth, and providing a brain-computer interface that can restore that function. And so it is not surprising that we can all envision a future in which we can enrich people's lives with brain-computer interfaces. Now, I'm not the first person to think that, and of course, many people like me have thought about this, but this is really a vision that started a long time ago. And now I'm going to ask you, and I already know one person who may know this man. Does anybody know that person? This is Herb Jasper. He's a neurologist at the famous Montreal Neurological Institute in Canada. He lived about 100 years ago. And he sent a Christmas card to the inventor of the EEG, of brain signal recordings, Hans Berger in Germany. And that's the Christmas card. The Christmas card is from 1938. And you can see Herb Jasper here, so this is a self-portrait, and you can see two electrodes that are on Herb Jasper's head. And out of these electrodes emanate the alpha waves that Hans Berger so famously invented. And you can see how they make up a message. Wishing you a pleasant new year as you like it. So what this really demonstrates is the excitement that we may be able to interact with the brain in completely new ways and learn things from the brain that otherwise we cannot learn. Herb Jasper is not speaking. We learn this directly from the brain. Now, this was about 100 years ago, and as we, or many of us know, is that in the recent years, brain-computer interface research has become a major focus worldwide. It started with the Brain Initiative in Europe, the Brain Initiative in the United States over 10 years ago, Brain Initiative in Canada, and most recently, a very serious focus on brain-computer interfaces in China. This interest is also reflected in substantial increase in funding, both governmental funding, this is funding over the past 10 years, and you can see, I mean, it's dramatic increase in funding by the American government, Chinese government, European government, Canadian and Japanese government. So clearly dramatic increase in funding by the government, but also dramatic increase in funding by the private sector. This also shows the same time period from about 10 years ago to now, and the dramatic increase in interest expressed by funding is clear. Now, it is not surprising that this increase in funding has brought with it great technologies. Now, a lot of you will have heard about Neuralink and Elon Musk, and there's many technologies that they are developing. This is just a video that I grabbed from their website. One of the technologies that they're developing is an implant that can be used in people who are paralyzed, and that can be connected to AI and promise to restore function in these individuals. And then with these technologies, you can implement demonstrations just like this one, in which this individual who has a Neuralink implant implanted, and he can control this computer game and play a computer game just by essentially thinking. Now, we're all excited about the promise of these technologies. What I'm here to tell you is that we have a lot of work to do. This is not going to, these kind of technologies are not going to be in everybody tomorrow. There's a lot of steps that we have to do. There's a lot of steps that we have to take, and we have to be mindful that this new series of technologies is a new form of medicine. It's not pharmaceuticals, it's very different. So these great technologies that we saw here in this video don't directly equate business success. They do not mean that we have something just because we have an implant, just because we have an EEG device, does not mean we have a solution that we can provide to many people, that company can exist and can make money on. I published a paper in Nature Reviews Bioengineering last year on this topic. And what I'm going to do is to lay out a few things that we should be mindful about as we're all trying to bring these technologies to the people that need it. So why is it that these technologies don't automatically mean that they're used by everybody? Well, one reason is because it's really hard to do. And it begins with another person, this man. Does anybody know that man? Fabio, please. This man is Leo Tolstoy. He wrote a book named Anna Karenina. And the first sentence in this book says, all good families are all the same, all unsuccessful families are all different. And what he means by that is, if we want to be successful, we need to do a lot of things right. In fact, we can't do most things right. We have to do all of them right, both in the family and also in neurotechnologies, which I now label the Anna Karenina principle of neurotechnologies. So, just because we have a nice video does not mean that this is a practical solution for people that many people can use. Just because we have a nice video does not mean that we can make a product that can enable companies to make the money that they need so that they can sustain it and bring it forward. Just because we have a nice video does not mean that doctors know how to use it, doctors know how to prescribe it, doctors know when they work and when they don't work, doctors know how to get paid for it. It doesn't mean any of these things. So that means we need to pay attention to all these things, and if we don't, well, then we won't be successful. So we need to be mindful of this Anna Karenina principle. Another thing that we need to be mindful of is that BCIs are fundamentally more challenging, at least I would say, than, for example, Tesla and SpaceX. People say, well, you know, Elon Musk, the leaders are very concerned because Elon Musk has been so successful with Tesla and then with SpaceX, and now he does Neuralink. And so, of course, certainly he will be able to repeat his success. And of course, I hope he can, but we need to be mindful that while we need technology for all these things, we need technology to make new cars, we need technology to make rockets, we need technologies to make a brain-computer interface. Brain-computer interfaces are the only one of these technologies where we need substantial additional research. We cannot just make a device that has 30,000 channels and put it in people and magically it will solve a lot of problems. We have to figure out how to use them and how to do it, which means there's a lot of research that is involved. We could put people on the moon 60 years ago. So one could say, well, all the science was done and all Elon Musk has done is to make it cheaper and easier and more convenient. Now that's an enormous achievement, of course. But we knew about propulsion and gravity and materials. We knew about all the things that we needed to do. With brain-computer interfaces, there's a lot of things we don't know. And just making technologies alone is not enough. And in my opinion, we're not focusing enough on basic research to understand the interactions between these new technologies and the brain. Now, one could say, well, you know, of course, Tesla is developing new batteries, and there's a lot of new chemistry, there's a lot of new research. That is true. And that is great. But it's not required for the success of Tesla to make new batteries. The batteries that we have right now are good enough. There's a lot of things that we cannot do with brain-computer interfaces if we don't understand them better. So, we also have to know what to do with it. We have to know, now that we have all this technology and all these capabilities, now what is it that we're actually going to do with it? And I'm showing you here this kind of circle that shows areas of health needs. The biggest health need is cognitive functioning. We all know people with mild cognitive impairments or Alzheimer's disease, people that have problems with cognitive functioning. An enormous problem, and of course many other problems, epilepsy, vision loss, Parkinson's disease, and you know a lot about these technologies. And what I've just showed you before, this video game, addresses one of these problems. It addresses communication disabilities. Now that's very, very important, of course. We need to do that. Elon Musk also talked about vision loss. There are people that are completely blind, and brain-computer interfaces promise completely new ways to restore vision in people. But what about all these other things? Why is it, for example, that we still cannot know whether my grandfather or father or something or uncle has a problem with his brain without taking him to one of the best hospitals in China, in the US, or in Europe. Why don't we have a brain-computer interface that can tell us that? That would be very important and very useful too. And finally, the final point I'm trying to make, and this is really something where I could see that standardization bodies like ITU could help. And in fact, I'm working on a paper soon to be submitted to Nature Reviews Bioengineering on a standard for reporting guidelines for brain-computer interface studies. I think very important. We don't yet have a mature BCI industry. Well, what does that mean? It's smaller, that doesn't mean very much. Well, it does mean very much. When we look at the pharmaceutical pipeline, for example, and the development of pharmaceuticals, it starts with an idea, and then there's basic pharmacology research. There's a scientist at some university, and they sit there and they try to understand how a new drug may reduce the weight in obese rats, for example. And when it works, and the rats are no longer obese, well, then he takes this research that's sponsored by the government, so you can see the vertical lines here, sponsored by the government. It produces research papers, so it's sort of a vertical process, but then when he does have something that looks like is working, then he just hands it over to the pharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical industry will do preclinical development, they will do clinical trials, and they will have approved drugs that come out of this whole process. Now, of course, we all know that this doesn't happens less and less, and there's a lot of problems with the pharmaceutical industry, but this is very established. We do not have anything like this in brain-computer interfacing right now. What we have is, well, we have some ideas, some scientists have ideas, and they do some basic neurotechnology research, not very much actually. Most of the work is on translational research. They take money from the government, they produce research papers, and they have absolutely no incentive, no qualifications, and no really foundation, no industry that can help to move this along into a product that can actually help people. So now, what are we going to do about this, and what am I doing about this? Well, it is my vision that I want to build brain-computer interfaces that are both practical, clinically useful, and commercially viable. We have to do all these things so that we can make something that is not a research paper, but actually winds up in improving the health of a lot of people, which is, I think, what we're all trying to do. One aspect of this is to help establish a mature industry. I envision essentially a rethinking, an institute, a center that is set up from the beginning to generate ideas, perform the necessary basic neurotechnology research, perform the necessary translational research, and then perform the necessary commercialization so that the output is products that now can be used by people. This does not yet exist, and this is one of the things that I am trying to help establish. Well, how would I know how to do that? Well, I have done it before. In the United States, my laboratory developed a completely new functional imaging technology that helps neurosurgeons map the brain better during neurosurgery. This approach now has FDA approval and is used, and actually not just FDA, will soon have NMPA in China, and will be used and is being used increasingly by neurosurgeons worldwide. I've also co-founded a company that generated a solution, a non-invasive EEG-based solution for stroke rehabilitation for people who can no longer move their hands because they had a stroke. This company now also has FDA approval, and as the first BCI company in the world has reimbursement, which means the American government is reimbursing doctors for prescribing this BCI device for people who had a stroke. So what I'm saying is we need a lot more of these kind of things. And indeed, in China, I've been working for several years now on a new method for detecting and modulating sleep, for restoring speech function in people with stroke-induced aphasia. And I just co-founded another startup that is working on cognitive assessment and improvement. So that's pre-seed. It's a small startup company that is still in R&D and pre-seed phase. So with that, I hope I gave you some interesting perspectives. Also provided perhaps some ideas how standardization bodies like ITU can help to address these really big challenges that I mentioned. And I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Hello. 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 Thank you, Mr. Gervin, for your excellent speech. You have posed many ideas for the development of the brain-computer interfaces. Does anyone in the audience have questions to Professor? Okay.
Hi, I'm Mpo, and well, I work for the Society of Computer Scientists in Germany. We're the largest network of computer scientists. And I have a question regarding the sleep one that you're working on. So, because you were introduced as someone who's doing something on non-invasive BCIs. So with the sleep, is it to monitor sleep disorders such as people not being able to fall asleep or people falling asleep constantly throughout the day? And then my question is really, what is the, wait, I wrote it down. How far have you tested the limits between the brain and the body when you are constantly, for example, waking a person up through a command like this?
Yeah, to address the second part, I don't know anything about the second part of the question, but I do know about the first part. We are now running the largest clinical trial in the world on auditory modulation, auditory modulation of people with insomnia. We will have over 100 patients with a registered clinical trial in which we are trying a technique that really a lot of people have tried over the years. It's basically non-invasive stimulation using auditory stimuli to both increase slow wave amplitude and slow wave duration, and hopefully will causally improve sleep in people with insomnia. So this is specific to people with insomnia. I have no clue how to make people fall asleep or how to cure restless leg syndrome or many other things that people with sleep disorders have. There's also a lot of comorbidities. So for example, a lot of people who are depressed also can't sleep. And so if we want to help them sleep better, maybe we should treat their depression and not try to address their sleep. So there's a lot of nuances. So we're doing one part, but if the clinical trial, which we're now in the middle of, if this is successful, this really could be something that we could think about providing to a lot of people. And tons of people, like about 25% of people, older people have problems with sleep, and about 50% have serious problems and are taking medication, at least in certain populations. So we hope that this can be useful someday.
Just a follow-up question, if I may. Sorry. Is your clinical team interdisciplinary? So does it include like psychologists and all of this, or is it just mainly medical teams and neurologists? And
no, this is really in collaboration with the one of the best sleep clinics in China at Huashan Hospital, part of Fudan University in Shanghai, and obviously there's tons of engineers, and so they have psychologists, they have all kinds of the neuropsychological testing, all the associated testing that is related to the sleep, and then of course the engineers to make all the technology happen.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Garen. Due to the time limited, so we have to give more time to the other speakers. So next one is the Professor Xie Songyun. Mrs. Xie comes from the Northwestern Polytechnical University in China and has conducted many beneficial explorations in the application of brain-computer interface technology. And more important, as an expert in China, he have many cooperations with the global expert. So next, let's invite Mr. Xie, not Mr. Xie, Ms. Xie, yeah, sorry, Professor Xie to give us the speech.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the kind introduction and invitation from Mr. Wen Yu. It's my great honor to be here to share my work in BCI. And actually, the title is Development and Application of BCI. And just now, I actually agree with Dr. Gerwin. Absolutely, the technique is not so difficult to push it into market. So I think that we did some work about BCI and development some system using BCI technique. But how to applicate it and how to push it to market, I would like to get some good idea here. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's too quick. Oh, what happened? I think it's not controlled by me. Which? What happened? Sorry. So quickly. Sorry.
它是不是你给设成的一个？
它为什么自动放映了吗？
对，我觉得可能是自动翻译吧。
我刚按这个，完了它按了以后，它那个方向是不是不对？我按的。先点这个。
看一下。你现在这么着行吗
No, it's okay.
That's okay?
No. Sorry.
He displayed automatically. This one?
Yes.
上面有一个是。
确实，刚才可能放映的时候放不是。I think that select a Okay, it's controlled by me now.
Now it's controlled by you? Okay.
Thank you.
Come back.
Okay, once again, and I will introduce in the fourth aspect. And firstly, what is BCI? Actually, I think it's not a question in our section because here everyone knows what is BCI, but only for to keep my content in system. So I also come from what is BCI. Actually, there is different definitions for different period. And in simply, I think BCI is we set up a link between brain and machine or computer. We would like to help people to do something using the brain. And this is a short view to give the principle what is BCI And actually,
脑控无人机在
firstly,
原理上
detect the
其实与脑控机甲设备大同小异。
signal, and
计算机
then
先将
we
操作者的
do
特
some
定脑电波
EEG
转化为
decoding,
可被
and
无人机执行的
then
控制信号。
also to catch
无人机
some
接收信
features,
号后，
and
便会根
then
据
we
指
also
令完成
code
各种
it
动作和
into
任务
some。 command to control some, for example, drone or UAV or some vehicle. So this is a very simple principle.
脑
And for us, we construct the BCI system. What happened? Yes. We construct like this, and we know for BCI control, and we have very main both different diagnoses. One is by the visual stimulation, and the one is by motor imagery. But yes, this is the all construction of the system of BCI. And for BCI, we have different methods to detect the brain mind or the designation of the data. So just now, Professor Gervin also said it's difficult to interact to our brain. So we have different methods we would like to record the brain mind. And one is invasive, and another one is non-invasive. They have different disadvantages and advantages, sure. But I think everyone knows that if you use invasive BCI, then it's easier to get the signal and more accuracy. But the problem we used to have an option, and surgery risks and high cost. And for the non-invasive BCI, the problem is the signal is very weak, and it's really very hard to get the feature of our mind. So that, but for, yes, there's many people worked on different BCI, and I think that invasive BCI almost used in some hospital for the medical this treatment, and the non-invasive BCI, we would like to use it to control some UAV or some equipment. There are some different events in. Sorry, it is some problem with the video. There's two video, but okay. And also, everyone knows Elon Musk, and I think that he makes everyone to know BCI. Actually, we did BCI work for more than 20 years, but no one know who am I. But and what is BCI is very few person. Even my friend don't know what is BCI. So, but after that, many friends asked me at, oh, you did work, you are working on BCI. It's very great. So I think that it's really a great work. And but this work is, I think the Elon Musk's work is almost invasive BCI. But for us, we don't have the condition to do the option, the surgery option, and so we developed the non-invasive BCI, and our work is start from 2002, and at start we did some work to the EEG diagnosing and decoding like this, and public papers, and from we get money from the funding, like just now Professor Gervin said. So that is the first step, and after that we would like to try some system, some new technique, and we use the BCI to control some, for example, to control quadrupole copter and also a model car or a robot. After that, we also did some work and step by step. And now also I think it's very important to research on the brain cognition, and maybe it's more easier to push PCI to market. So that is our step, and then I will introduce our work step by step. And firstly, it is a brain control robot. So it's very simply, and we use visual stimulation. Then we got the EEG feature, and to detect the EEG feature, and then we code it to control the robot. So this robot is controlled by brain mind. We said that actually it's not so accurate. We should say to control by EEG signal. Okay. And also after that, we also development using BCI to control several model cars. And for the model cars, we will to do some work of the obstacle avoidance. After that, we would like to try some more difficult things to control. Actually, it's not a drone. It's a quadcopter, and this is more difficult than to control a robot and a car. But we did the very good job, and my students did a good job, and they finished the system. And I think that they keep the brain control, the helicopter, very stable, and to finish the flight tasks. But after that, we also find it's easier to let other things to let other one to understand our work, because they think that you use brain to control something. It's very slow, not so flexible. But you said that brain is so flexible than AI, but we can't find it, we can't see it. So I think that it's maybe we can combine brain and the computer, and brain and AI together to control, to maybe can perform more difficult tasks. So that is our idea. But the problem is I can't, now it's okay. But another view I can't performance the other view. There is some problem. Okay, actually we use BCI to combine the BCI and the AI to control a drone swarm. That's about five drone. But sorry that I can't find the view. Something. Okay, this one is okay. And then we also to control the drone in VR environment. That is more easier to do the expert and the experiment, and maybe we can do more environment and more tasks. So that is why we would like to combine the BCI and AI to control some drone format. There is some problem with the PPT, I think. And also we did some things to perform BCI, and because at that time some friends also asked me that why you use brain, because your hand is free, why you don't use your hand to control, but you use brain. Then we perform another system, and we use hand and brain and also AI together to control the small car, and also to do some tasks. For example, to do the task to detect some subjects. And after that, I think that it's very important to put our technique to serve for the people life. So we also development this system that to combine the brain and the computer and to control the mechanical dog and a mechanical arm and also a small robot. They come together to finish a very difficult task. Is also very important, and also it's very interesting work. But I think that there's something wrong with the video. Maybe I just click it and.好了，就是看这个，但是我怎么操作它？Can't control it。
你需要拉过来是吧？但是它不是复制。
OK，我主要是想I would like to make the video work, but the video doesn't work now. That is also a video.
是什么
？Yes, there's a video. Okay, so. Okay, it works, and yes, that is what we did, and maybe we can find the other one. This one I tried. Yes, this is what we did. We combined the BCI and AI to control the drone swarm, and now let's come here. And it's the hand and the BCI and the AI combined. And I think that so this one, we can see it. And yes, this one, we tried. 我的一些动图 that is the documenting in GIF, but I think the all documenting in GIF is not working well. But what happened? Okay. Okay, then we just go ahead.你把这个再放一下，它这个播放的这个我怎么老动不了它这个。这好像不动了，有点问题，因为我这个文件太大了，还是应该用我的我的那个笔记本就好了，没什么问题。开始放映，这放不了，但是我就可以往后走。但是我动不了呀，它这个老动不了。就这个，我这个动这，它有时候也动不了。好了，这回行。OK。Okay, thank you. Then after that, we think that sometimes actually we also need some command from human beings and also the machine. We need a unique command. So we do some work about BCI fusion, BCI and computer fusion. Then we set up a model to fusion the brain and also the machine decisions. So this is use the technique to driving to detect the driving status and also give alert. Yes, and our work is already reported by CCTV and People's Daily reported daily. and the journalists also come to our lab and to try the system. They think it's really amazing technique. We also invited to the demonstrate in the 2024 World Robot Conference and paid attention by multiple official media and include the CCTV and also other important medias. Our work is also attentioned by some young work, and we have a very hot website. It's a Bilibili website, and our topic is also the BCI is also selected into the hottest topic in 2044, and we also invited to the SPITE and to demonstrate our system. And actually, there's already many applications in these 2 years, and in China, many researchers and also many people would like to push the technique to the market to do some products. And but I think most of the products also in hospital and for the medical treatment. This is all in invasive products, invasive BCI. And the market is also rapidly grows, but I think the products almost focus on how to detect the brain mind, how to detect the signals. But I think that we need more technique and the more applications. So this is different ideas and different companies. They did some very good, nice products in China, also include Jingyu. So we would like to push the EEG and the BCI technique to some commercial applications. So that is some ideas, and I hope that we can do something for people's life. And for my group, that many people think that you did so much work, and maybe you research on it a very long time, and you have a very big group. Actually, from 2002, I have only one person on myself, and I get this area, and now I have the group about more than 100 students and also young people. And we also set up some lab, and actually some lab is cooperate with the other people in the other country, and many professors in the other country help us to set up the lab, and we also do some work to the joint supervision and also the joint research. And our work is also selected to London and also Berlin to show for some leaders. And I think it's also attention by many people all over the world. It's also reported by some press and the medias. So I think that global cooperation is very important. So I also really would like to thank you for my some cooperation partners to help us to let me into a very fantastic area and do some work, and help us to set up some lab and also joint center, and also actually our joint supervision students now come back to our group. Now he is already close to my colleague, so I'm very happy for that. And also would like to thank for our funding, NSFC funding. So finally, I think that the international cooperation has accelerated the rapid growth progress of BCI technology. New technology should serve human health and a better life. Need the global joint efforts of scientists, doctors, and many other professionals. So I think that it's really important to join up. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank.
And finally,
Hello?
welcome to
Hello?
Xi'an. I come from Xi'an,
Hi,
and
hi.
for some very special culture and very delicious food. Thank you.
Hello, wait. Hello. Okay, my mouth is too big.
Sorry
Okay,
for the delay.
thank you, Mr. Xie, Professor Xie, for your wonderful speech. And does anyone in audience have questions to Professor Xie? Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much for a super interesting presentation and all the work you're doing. So I'm a consultant in life sciences space, and my question revolves around data. So I was just curious, what kind of data do you collect from patients? How do you use this data for further research or for your current projects? So it's all about the data collected from patients and the data used.
Okay, thank you for the question. And actually, we faced to some health people, not to patients. But when I did my postdoctor in Berlin, and I also cooperate with a professor in Shanghai, and they have some patients. So we detect the EEG data for BCI. I think that by now, I think EEG data is more easier to perform. And actually, at that time, we also detect some fMRI data. And we also try to combine the EEG and the fMRI together to do some data fusion to find more and better features. But it's really difficult. I think by now, we didn't got some very good results, but in the progress, I think that we also got some results and to push the BCI. So for us, that the data is about EEG and fMRI. We detect, use the EEG detecting and to get actually when we get the data, it's really not so good data. And after that, we need to use some method to get some feature, and that we said that is EEG decoding. And after that, we code it into command. Then we control some equipment. That is our work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the pause say anything, so I don't say anything more. And next, we will come into the panel discussion 1, opportunities and challenges of BCI, which will be hosted by the Professor Garvin. Please welcome him and let the panelists, we can come up to the lecture, and we get to the next panel.
you computer okay? It's okay. Your computer. It can be works. The movie can be shown.
Is it works?
It works.
I think so.
It works.
Okay. Okay. Can you help me?
Yeah, yeah,
In the case. Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much for the attention so far. We're now talking a little more about opportunities and challenges in brain-computer interfacing. And we have 4 distinguished speakers in this next segment. And the first speaker is Professor Fabio Babiloni from the University of Rome, La Sapienza. And I have to make sure that I add the La Sapienza at the end. That is very important. I have known Fabio for much longer than I would like to admit. It's probably now close to, maybe not 30 years, but 25 or something. It's probably 25 years. He's an extremely accomplished neurophysiologist. His age index is through the roof. It's more than 90 or so. And he has made really transformative contributions in the area of neurophysiology and brain-computer interfacing. So I cannot wait to hear what he has to tell us today. So please help me welcome Dr. Babiloni.
Thank you again. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I try to share with you some issues related to the use of this technology on normal subjects. In order to capture human factors of normal people while they are working or they drive airplanes, they make surgery, or driving cars. Because the language of the brain is already similar for all of us in this room, irrespectively from our country of origin. So what are human factors? When I will have a surgery, maybe in the future, I would like to be sure that those guys have attention to my body and their workload, cognitive workload, will be not so high. And also, I will be pleased to understand if the way to cooperate between them was very effective. We can measure with the standard, with all that has been published in the literature, not only by us, but a lot of laboratories, it is possible to do so. Cognitive workload, attention, stress, emotion are human factors, are words that can be measured. It can be measured in situations like this. So what I am going to tell you is that it is possible in such kind of real theater, like surgical theater, but even on the airplane, on the cockpit of the airplane that brings you here, or will bring you home, to measure those guys' attention, to measure those guys' mental workload, and to understand if this situation exceeds their capacity. And this is good for training. So basically, I will try to start a video, which is very difficult in this. Okay, so it will be nice if we are able to measure cognitive and human factor by using simple things, simple devices, in order to assess in real time stress, mental workload and attention in a lot of categories of people. And we made it in the last 15 years in different professional people that were paid to work at the air traffic control or drive the airplanes or make surgery. So no laboratories, no patient, just lecturers and professionals that do their work. And so we can measure a lot of, signals from the body. And the nice thing is that those signals, not by black magic, but by biomedical signal processing and what is already known in literature, can be put in the operator's psychophysiological state, which means that the words mental workload, the word stress, the word attention as a meaning, as a value, can be measured as a variation of power spectra, statistical relevant, blah, blah, blah. And the idea is to measure these things into the real field, with the real people, normal people that make their work. In order to do that, we need easy to use, because professionals do not want to waste their time. So they don't want to use wires. They don't want to be buried by a lot of electrodes. So we need, as an engineer, as a neuroscientist, to understand which is the minimum set of electrodes able to return 80, 90% information of cognitive workload, for instance, in this case. So, and then not only to use an easy-to-use device, but also to measure this kind of mental workload or stress or attention in the state-of-the-art signal processing technology. This comes from 3 years ago, in which we use such kind of technology. This is a real air traffic controller at work in the Eurocontrol Center in Europe. Is the people that usually fly our airplanes when we come back. And on this table, you can see the track of the mental workload and the stress of those guys while he's attending the work. At that time, they said, we don't want this, because they are wires. They are not so nice to wear during work. So you have to come back, because this information are useful for us to switch people that are too much stressed when you have a device more interesting for us. And after a European project that supports us along 2 years, we had this device that measures human factor component in 30 seconds. So you can put, and 30 seconds after it starts to measure according to the best knowledge of the literature. Is not black box, it's not magic, black magic. Is in order to use the standard best knowledge currently available to measure not EEG signals, nobody cares in the professional environment. Nobody cares about delta or theta waves. Somebody cares about mental workload and attention combined, for instance, in different environments. For instance, we use it extensively in training of airline pilots to see if the task they do will be performed with not so much full capacity, cognitive workload capacity, because when something unexpected happens, they will have a cognitive resource to spare to understand the situation. And what you are viewing is a typical training section in the simulator, and you see the flashing lights are those devices, and this is the typical outcome of one of these devices that measure the workload, stress, and vigilance of that guy, but not only that guy. You can measure both and the cockpit, and this is the information more, you can estimate how those guys cooperate by using a multivariate autoregressive system on this mental factor. And so you can estimate how cooperation works. So that we get an index not only for the workload, not only for the stress, but also for the team cooperation during that specific task. Not for life, not for marriage, but just for that kind of task, the training in the cockpit. And it works, possibly, it works. This is how it is doing in the airline training. And you can ask yourself, okay, so this guy measures something and he claimed that is related to the mental workload, blah, blah, blah. I am not trust him. So this is exactly what they say, the airline pilots and trainer. And they would like to perform this task. So a senior officer stands behind the airplane pilots and judge by eyes if the task is difficult or not for them. And those are the not black, which is this kind of color? The brown color. The brown color is the evaluation made by eye by the senior officer. The blue line is the output of the system that estimate cognitive workload. From this measure, we understand that we capture something which is correlated with cognitive workload, and it's got 5 minutes left. Okay, that's fine. So there is correlation with what happens outside, as judged by the senior officer. And so the issue is this, and can be applied at wherever there is a head, even in space, even in surgical theater, and this is the last 3 minutes of my presentation. This is a Virgin Galactic flight. We spent 2 years, 2 years to set up the mental task workload in order to understand, to reply to this simple question. Those human factors, blah, 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 we are going to measure on heart, it works up on suborbital flights. If yes, we can use there. If not, we have to adjust. So we put on the
say hello or ciao to the galactic
on this flight from Italian Aeronautic Army that's on Virgin Galactic, suborbital flights. But those guys with the EEG, they have to be fireproof or whatever. They perform a task, a mental workload task, and the results will be that, of course, we can measure there. It works also there. And these open the view to use such kind of mental factor also for people that has suborbital space or whatever, or even airplanes, of course. Naturally, you can also close the feedback, the loop with the car, the intelligence on car, or the intelligence on devices, and to detect sleepiness, whatever. I will move directly on the last issue. We are able to capture something with a multivariate autoregressive model measured by both people at work, something that belongs to the external world, and it makes a difference. This is a pilot correlation. I will not have time to... may I have the sounds of this? Maybe, yes, maybe not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So we will enter into the surgical room in which we put this device on the team of surgery, And
What if
while
we
they are
could
attempting
real-time
the
insight
search,
into the cognitive and
and
emotional states of team members, so
we
to
are
measure
able, oh,
teamwork
the sound is
efficiency.
coming. Okay.
The Sapienza University of Rome,
You can
Polyclinic
raise it
Umberto
up a
Primo,
little bit, maybe?
Brain Science and Deep Blue developed an innovative methodology able to do exactly this. Cognitive states, including attention, workload, and stress, are measured in real time, thanks to the Mind-Tooth Touch, a light and easy-to-set-up electroencephalogram headset. A data-driven approach based on machine learning and multivariate autoregressive models has been employed to develop a neurometrics-based teamwork model. This model considers the covariations both within each cognitive state, for example, low versus high stress, and between different states, for example, attention versus stress. In addition to brain activity, skin conductance and heart rate are measured. This innovative methodology, already tested with aircraft pilots, air traffic controllers, and car drivers, has been validated in a surgery-related context as part of 2 studies called Challenges and Brain Orchestra. The validation took place at Polyclinic Hospital Umberto Primo in Rome, Italy, in collaboration with neuroscientists from the University of Sapienza, brain science and human factors specialists from Deep Blue. In total, 8 inguinal hernia repair surgeries have been registered, involving...
Okay, it's too long, but the idea is that we made it in different teams, 30 seconds, in different teams, and what happened with this multivariate, blah, 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 methods to estimate the cooperation between teams is what is happening is that it is possible, I don't want that you understand this in 15 seconds, but there is an index that discriminates teams of young surgeons from teams of experienced surgeons. And this difference you see on the green dots, which is the degree of cooperation of 4 different teams of experienced surgeon, and the red dots, which is the dots for 4 teams of unexperienced, which means that the people that have experience cooperate better in the multivariate autoregressive. And this works also for training. So the issue at the very end of the story, and this is my last slide, the question is not when and how neuroscience will shape our future. We think that this moment has arrived. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Fabio, for the inspiring presentation. Maybe we can switch. While we're setting up, maybe one question that we can take for Professor Babiloni? Yeah.
No, it's HDMI. Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, there are...
It's not working. We are going without slides.
The use of N3, 2 parietal, P3, P4, and PC. And you can capture mental workload theta that appears from anterior genicular gyrus, even from these lectures. And we made this starting from 64. We applied 128
most likely some screen
decades.
it's not a problem.
It is not useful. We perform machine learning stuff from 64 and see how much we can lose in the detection of losome and cut by reducing the number of lectures. And we found this compromise. For this reason, I say 80–90%. 90% of this component that will be detected each time instant, and we detect in real time. So it works. It works.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much again, Dr. Babiloni. With this, I would like to introduce Dr. Schneeweiss, who is a neuroscientist and neurologist at the Neuroscience Laboratory at the Sorbonne in Paris. And he's going to tell us a little more about some topic that is becoming increasingly important, ethics of brain-computer interfaces. As you can imagine, now we're recording more and more data from the brain, and there are emerging issues that we may need to pay attention to with respect to privacy and other issues. So with that, thank you very much, Professor Schneeweiss.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I'm going to go on my talk without the slide because it's going to take too much time if we want to really change the screen. So I'm going to speak about the ethical questions because by a certain way, Fabio ended his talk by saying that between the two screens, it was possible to discriminate. And the question is that we don't want anyone to be discriminated by neurotechnologies. And this is going to be my point. So obviously, I'm going to refer to two main recommendations, one from OECD, the other one coming from UNESCO. The two I was involved in, and particularly UNESCO, where I had the opportunity to chair the expert committee and the recent intergovernmental committee. So in our words, because we have to start from the beginning, neurotechnology refer currently to device, systems, and procedures. So the three things, both hardware and software, that directly measure, access, monitor, analyze, predict, or modulate the nervous system to understand, influence, restore, or anticipate its structure, activity, and function. So neurotechnology is going to combine neuroscience, we just had the illustration with Fabio, engineering, material science, and computing. So we are witnessing incredible things. You most likely have seen this wonderful paper by Stavitsky team a couple of weeks ago in Nature, where a brain-to-voice system can, in 10 milliseconds, translate from brain activity to intention to speak. So unmet needs are incredible. You know that brain health is representing 1/3 of our health expenses. So it's representing 1,000 billion for Europe, for example, each year. So we absolutely need to find treatments, and neurotechnology are part of the game. But the ability to probe and interfere with an individual brain activity call into attention the notion of identity, physical and mental integrity, as well as individual autonomy. Ethical questions, but also social concern. And the 2019 OECD recommendation and the 2025 UNESCO recommendation are going to deal with. I'm going to start with OECD. You can find easily the recommendation 451 on the OECD website. I want to emphasize among the 9 principles that we developed and that were adopted, 2 main ones for our concern today. Principle 7, safeguard personal brain data and other information gained through neurotechnology. All we have seen, and wonderfully seen, are sensitive personal data, because all the speakers from now insisted on the fact that each of the brain activity recorded was a the one of a specific individual. And the 9th principle, anticipate and monitor the potential unintended use or misuse of neurotechnology. So when an OECD recommendation is taken, the member states have to implement this recommendation. And France did it through a French charter for the responsible development of neurotechnology. You can find the charter in French and in English on the website of the Minister for Research and Higher Education. It was published in November 2022. What I want to insist is the way it was done. It was a co-construction, a co-elaboration of the public and private sector, of the academic and enterprises, of the regulators and the patients' association. So a real co-construction that was done to preserve identity, freedom of thought, autonomy, cognitive liberty, mental privacy, and the right to oppose any non-consensual or abusive use of their personal brain data, and to refuse any non-consensual or abusive manipulation of their brain. So I have no time to enter into the details, but we have 5 chapters to protect personal brain data, to ensure reliability, safety, and security of medical and non-medical devices. We have just seen with Fabio that these technologies are going to develop outside of the medical field, to develop an ethical and deontological communication, and to prevent misuse, malicious applications, and manipulation, and to take into account societal expectations. What are the priorities? I already mentioned health as a main priority, but when these applications are going to enter the workplace, it's going to raise many questions about the protection of individuals. For example, monitoring the workload is something very important for a given individual to allow her or him to control the fatigue and the brain fatigue. But what about the exploitation of such data by the company and the evaluation of the quality of a worker, and maybe the bonus or the lockout of the worker? So the French charter was already signed by more than 40 organizations, and the interesting thing today is that it became a European charter under the auspice of the European Brain Council, and in April 2025 it was published, and you can find the European Charter on the European Brain Council website, and it's also already signed by more than 60 organizations such as the European Federation of Neuroscience Society, Parkinson Europe, European Federation of Neurological Associations, and so on and so forth. I moved to the UNESCO recommendation. At the beginning, it was a report from IBC, the International Bioethics Committee. I was the chair of the committee at that time. And we clearly demonstrate in this report that neurotechnology has a concern and issues in human dignity. We need to respect physical and mental integrity, personal identity, freedom of thought, privacy and confidentiality, but also equal access, which is something very important, and distributive justice, especially for the health needs, the risk of discrimination, the risk of misuse, unauthorized and coercive use, the question of enhancement, the question of informed consent, and something very important for me, the best interest of the child. What about the use of such technologies on a developing brain, the child brain, or on with adolescent? And you know that in the field of neurogaming, for example, you are going to have a lot of these applications with adolescents. So to make a long story short, it's clear that this report at UNESCO also made it brain data should be considered as sensitive, personal data, something not yet recognized by GDPR outside of health sector. It's clear that you have this question of neural rights, and IBC considers that neural rights embrace already existing human rights. We just have to precisely see the international laws to not to create any new right, but to recognize the corpus of neural rights in it. And as you know, UNESCO decided to go to a recommendation that I hope will be adopted next General Assembly, the end of October or beginning 2025, recognizing what neurotechnology means, but also covering any other biosensor that allow inference on the mental state. We named it non-neurological device that allow to make inference on mental states. And I let you go on the UNESCO website to know more about the 163 paragraph of this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Schneeweiss, for the raising the important topic of ethics in brain-computer interfacing and brain signal recordings. Do we have any let's take one question on this one.
Thank you so much for bringing the point. I think that from the point of view of neurotechnology, EI Act is really a very good instrument, because in the EI Act, any systems that could, by any means, combining elements of daily life plus biosensor plus what you want, could infer mental state, if it's outside of the research or health domain, it should be prohibited. So it's this kind of basis that we, all of us, and co-constructing all these, because I am also the head of the Ethics and Society Committee of eBrain, so an infrastructure for developing this technology. So as a neurologist and a neuroscientist, I want these technologies to be developed. I want the data to be shared to promote the research, knowledge, and the development. But we have to find ways, such as the EI Act, to protect individuals of any non-consensual or abusive use of what should be recognized as personal sensitive data. So all of us have to work together to protect individuals and also protect the way society could go, like an over-exploitation of such type of data to enhance or to increase productivity or things like that, outside of the desire of individuals to go this way.
Thank you very much.
What I think is the EI Act also supports this use of this neurotechnology for training and for safety. So in the environment you see before, you would like to fly with the pilots that know what they are doing and surgeons that know what they are doing. So in the EI Act, this comma allows to use such kind of neurotechnologies to improve safety and training.
Thank you very much for raising this important topic and these terrific comments. I would now like to hand over the microphone to an actual user of a BCI. We are very honored and lucky to be able to have one here. Mr. Scott Imbrier, if I hopefully pronounced that name correctly, has been paralyzed at the age of 22 and received an implant in collaboration with the University of Chicago about 5 years ago. And we're really hoping to get some insight about not only all this technology that all of us here talk about, but actually get an insight into how you felt about this new technology, how it changed your life if it did so, and what you're hoping if it didn't change it very much, or how you would hope that it would in the future improve even more.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to this talk. I'm glad I don't have to talk about my data rights or anything like that, because to me, I joined this study 4.5 years ago, actually, because I wanted to help other people with spinal cord injuries that had much worse results than me. Because when I woke up in the hospital in 1985, 5 days after my accident, they told me I was going to be a quadriplegic, that I'd never be able to walk again or use my hands, and I was like, fuck you, sorry, you know? And so I fought really hard to do everything I could to prove the doctors wrong. And when I walked out of Chicago Rehabilitation Center months later, I walked not very well at all. I mean, maybe even worse than now. My goal was to help other people with spinal cord injuries that were a lot worse than I was. So when it comes to like data stuff and everything like that, I'm not worried about my data, because really the data they collect from me is only useful to science right now, and maybe it'll help industry develop products that are better. I love being part of the study I'm part of, because I see the progress of the decoders that are being built. And the funny thing is when I sit there and I actually use this device, I control robotic arm and hand with my brain without even moving a muscle. You know, just thinking about how I would move my arm. And the cool part is the sensory feedback part, because that humanizes the robotic arm and hand. And so I want you all to imagine, if you were a quadriplegic, would you feel human? Would you give up? Would you want to keep fighting for life? Because so many people with spinal cord injuries, once they're told that they're never going to walk again or be able to use their hands, we withdraw into a shell, we get depressed, we give up. And when you have to depend on someone to be a caretaker for the rest of your life, do you really feel human? You know, how do you get through that? So anyways, this technology, in my eyes, and this is what's really kind of cool about China taking on this battle also, is that you could humanize a person again. And when you use simple technology, like being able to control a mouse on a computer, 2D control, you know, imagine drawing on a chalkboard, that's basically 2D control. Controlling a mouse is really easy, at least for me. I can do 1,600 targets without missing one. Now the more complex things, like things that we're working on at U Chicago with controlling a robotic arm, imagine your wrist up and down, left and right, palm up, palm down. The decoders are getting better and better, but the technology for robotics is nowhere near as advanced as science is already. And this is the really cool thing about science. We need to get industry more involved to make better robotics, better sensors. Do you know when I shake your hand with the robotic hand, I would feel your hand in my hand, and it makes that robotic hand humanized. It's an amazing thing. BCI technology is going to be the future, but if you keep things really simple, everything else is going to evolve. And I like using the example of the first calculator that came out by Texas Instrument. It did 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8. And as soon as that hit the market, everyone in manufacturing of, you know, making electronics, they wanted a piece of that money. And look what happened. Look where we have computers now and everything. But that didn't happen because they wanted to build the biggest, best computer to start with. They started out with something so simple that anyone can manufacture. And because it started making money, how many industries got involved in what we have today with, you know, quantum computing and everything else like that? So why is it that the people with the best minds have really good ideas, and you should always reach for the stars, but just make it simple and everything else is going to evolve from right there. You know, sometimes I think we overthink things and we want to make it the best to start before we release anything. Anyway, so back to this robotics and the BCI technology. It's amazing that I get to be part of going to different conferences and learning about how implants, electronic implants, could help people with depression so they don't have to use medication anymore. Or think about the deep stem stimulators that no matter what medications people with seizures have, the last result is using the deep stem stimulators, and they help alleviate seizures. Or people with Parkinson's that when they're sitting there and they try to reach for something, and all of a sudden they could have a brain stimulation, and the stimulator fixes that part of the brain, and it takes that short out that's in that part of the brain, and it makes them be able to reach for something without shaking. And like me right now, the technology that I have on my head right now, I have four electrodes on my brains, the Utah arrays. I have 2 in the sensory cortex, which gives me, the 2 electrodes have a total of 64 channels of stimulation that I have. And I have 2 electrodes on the motor control, which gives me 192 channels of motor control. And I do pretty darn well controlling a robotic arm and hand, and it's unbelievable. And so when I was listening to these talks earlier here in this hall, it was amazing the things that you guys are working on, and I wish you the best of luck with having a lot of success like we have at UChicago and the University of Pittsburgh with the decoders we're building. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you very much for this really unique and important perspective. The one thing that really resonates with me that I sort of talked about, the demos and the Detroit Auto Show is one thing, but then the simplicity and actually making something that provides useful functions for many, many people in their lives, that's something totally different. So it was terrific to hear this from you. So thank you very much for that. Let's take a question from the audience before we break. Any questions?
Take the seat before driving.
Yes.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, ma'am. So sorry.
Thank you. First of all, your case is absolutely impressive, so congratulations for all your resilience during all those years. I guess my question relates to, I mean, the benefits for you are obvious, like we can see you now. I was just curious if there are any side effects, like maybe at the beginning, were there any inconveniences? I don't know, do you get any itches? Like what are for you the side effects, any potential inconveniences that obviously you're happy to live with for the benefits?
Okay, so first of all, actually this study that I'm part of has absolutely no benefit to me at all. So everything that you see, my movements and everything, I had all that, after my accident. It took years to get better and better, but my accident, like I said, happened in 1985. So these implants have absolutely no physical benefit to me at all. And I just wanted to repay the blessings, because I did walk out of the hospital, and the people I was in the hospital with for 4 months, 6 months, whatever it was a long time ago, they were never going to walk out of there. And so now the things about the implants, they implanted me on a Tuesday morning. The surgery took approximately 8 hours. And I woke up and I was ready to get out of the hospital the next day, but of course they wanted to hold me. So I got out of the hospital on Thursday. The following Monday morning, I was down in Chicago at the lab because they wanted to hook me up and see how successful the surgery was. And the amazing thing, this is really kind of a cool story, because the amazing thing was, it was when COVID was going on. It was October 27th of 2020. Everyone's in masks. This little tiny room that's maybe a third of the size of this room, there's probably about 20 doctors and scientists and students in the room, and they're all wearing masks. And as soon as they started scratching my finger with the Q-tip, they heard the shh, shh, shh. So that means they got the sensory implants perfectly on my fingertips on the brain. And it's like, to this day, I could see the exhilaration and joy of 20 people with these huge smiles on their face, like the mask never existed, you know? Now, as far as with these type of pedestals, obviously they pull the skin over the screws and everything like that. For me, what I do every morning when I get up, I take saline solution and a gauze and I clean around it, and then I maybe put some ointment on it if it's drying out a little bit. And so the care for it is really not anything at all. It's very, very simple. I mean, obviously, because I could do it myself, it's really easy, but people that are a true quadriplegic, they obviously need someone to care for them, you know? But it's really not that hard, so.
And how about the maintenance? How often, how long are they meant to last? You know, do they need any maintenance? Will they need any maintenance going forward, or any updates?
So this is my understanding. The first participant in Pittsburgh, Jan, she had hers for like 2.5, 3 years, and she started getting infections. I know BlackRock, who developed these, I think I have like the 3rd generation of electrodes. Nathan, the second person who was at Pittsburgh, he's going on 10 years. He just went over 10 years now. And I'm at 4.5 years. So since I have the 3rd generation, I'm hoping I can go 15 years with them working really, you know, well and everything. So, you know, as we learn more about, you know, deterioration, how the brain reacts to the little pins that they push into the top of my brain, hopefully things will get better and better. And then there's so many other products on the market right now, you know, so hopefully someone will just keep improving on all that development and technology. But as far as BlackRock's concerned, they've been in business for 30 plus years, and they've been very successful, so, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for, again, adding this great perspective and really unique perspective. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
We would like to continue with Dr. Prodanov, who is Associate Professor at the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences. And he, for the last several years, he's had a very important project sponsored by the EU on the interaction between such invasive electrodes and the brain. And I am curious what he has to tell us today.
Okay.
All right, so let's continue.
Right. Sorry for the small delay. So after the break, it was nice. It was really nice to hear the patient's perspective. And I'm going to talk more about some invasive problems and invasive technologies. And really what I want to start with is that for 100 years, the neurotechnology became part of our everyday life. So what you see here on the left is the Burger's device from 1924, like more than 100 years ago. And what you see on the right are some non-invasive applications that are marketed even today. One is something that looks like pods, and the other is an EEG headset of a company that is wireless. I mean, the headset is wireless. But actually, the big promise of the neurotech is also in invasive prosthesis, as well as in non-invasive applications such as auditory, BCI, and rehabilitation. Now, what we have seen and are witnessing in different presentations are the success stories. But actually, what is equally important is to understand failures. And failures can be classified in different ways. But one useful classification is that if we divide them into iatrogenic events, patient-related, device-related, placement, stimulation, compatibility, design factors, and tissue factors, and so forth. So if we want to understand really what is going on, there should be a way how we can collect and report data so that different studies can be compared. Another problem that we have to solve in the field of invasive devices is that the implanted devices must last for decades, but the body is actually very aggressive medium. So certain aspects of this interaction between the body and the implant, especially the electrode, must be understood. Now, there is a definite need for standards in regulatory, ethical, and social aspects of neurotechnology. And I'd like to say that there is also a task force working in IEEE that looks into reporting standards for brain-computer interfacing. So when we look at the outcome assessment or the technical properties and continuity of the device, when we describe the risks versus the benefits or different components of the BCI devices, and then when we look at the results, it's important to use the same definitions of terms and similar way how to describe what we do in different circumstances and what the outcome is. And that's the essence of this process, because this will help both regulatory processes but also technology cooperation in the field. There are many standards, so I'm not going to go into all of them. Of course, that's not possible in such a presentation. But if you only look at the BCI standard, what the necessity is, so there is the necessity to synchronize, to harmonize terminology, because it's difficult to compare different BCI systems and obtain results. There is redundant efforts from time to time of reproducing the tools and methods. There is limited access to shared resources because of differences in the file formats and incompatibilities in the metadata. And as a result, also poor interoperability across platforms and devices. So this is a hindrance to innovation in the field, and ideally, it should be overcome through standards. Now, if I look into our own work in my group in the Academy of Sciences, we want to understand how motion and vibrations interact, I mean how the brain interacts with implants. And the main factors are head motion, breathing, and heartbeat. So what you see here on the right, this picture actually is an X-ray that I took from Wikipedia of a patient implanted with deep brain electrodes. So you see that one of them is slightly curved. This is exactly the cause of the brain actually deforming the electrode. And I would like to finish with the objective of the work that we are doing in Sofia. We want to investigate the viscoelastic coupling between the brain and implanted electrodes in order to optimize the interface geometry for different types of electrodes, and also investigate how the tissue interacts, all this in simple model systems and brain phantoms, in order to also see how these effects affect the brain and the recorded brain activity. Now, finally, some words about different invasive interfaces, because so far this looks more like a theory. We had a very nice presentation about what Mr. Musk does or will not do, but there are also other actors in the field. If you look at Synchron, they have a very interesting system of mesh that they implant through the blood vessels. They have some patients implanted. Then we have the systems of precision neuro that do EKG on the cortex, and then the systems of paradromics. So these are all interesting alternatives to the approach of Musk. And we also have acceleration of the research and development that happens globally. And just to finish with what Hervé was saying about the ethical recommendation, this is a picture of the expert groups that we took in 2024 of the people who drafted the first recommendation, which was actually adopted in the Intergovernmental Conference this year. In conclusion, neurotechnology is developing at an accelerated pace. The application of AI is expected to further accelerate the process, and a BCI reporting standard is expected to save time and effort. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the informative talk. Let's take one question by the audience. Any question? So
there is one.
Oh, there's one. Okay.
Thanks so much for your talk. It's quite interesting the work you're doing. Thank you for the talk. It seems like a lot of interesting work on optimizing implants. I was wondering, how do you see the pathway from the research to optimize implanted electrodes to the commercial players adopting this research? What's the timeline like? Is there a workflow in place? And if not, do you feel like there should be?
Well, in my experience, I started doing electrode-related work back in 2008 at IMEC in Belgium, and it took us about 10 years, plus about 4 million euros funding, to drive an idea of a silicon probe, silicon electrodes, to what is known now as neuropixel technology. And this is still preclinical. So if we are talking about, well, in invasive technologies, we are talking about development times between 10-15 years. So that's not for one company to do unless you're Elon Musk and you can pour, let's say, 100 millions out of your pocket. But you need sustained funding in different channels to overcome the valley of debt.
Thank you very much for the additional information. Now we're about to hear the last speaker in this segment, Professor Xinyi Gu, Associate Researcher at the Beijing Institute of Technology, and she's really interested in BCI ethics and governance, and this is what she's going to tell us about today. So Professor Gu, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for introductions. Yes, and thanks for having me today to join the ITU conference. And today I will briefly introduce some about the development and governance of brain-computer interface. And Oh, sorry, it's a little bit slow. And I will briefly introduce some breakthrough about BCI, some market developments. Okay, the market development, the ethical risks, and the governance of brain-computer interface. And I'm currently the vice chairman of the science popularization and ethics working group of Brain-Computer Interface Industry Alliance. And as the lead author, we have published China's first ethical principles and governance recommendations for brain-computer interface, and published the brain-computer interface ethics and governance initiatives. Yes, in the recent 20 years, there are a lot of progress toward the brain-computer interface, and especially for the motor function recoveries and some treatment to the neurological disease. And besides, it also can be used in the entertainment and education and even military defense. But it also have some limited, because it can decoding the brain signal, but it cannot tell how our consciousness work. So if we worry about the privacy problem, we still have the kind of understand that maybe these technologies is not just stolen our thoughts and read every thought of our brain. It can only have some incorporate with our intention and do some task, and then they can know our intention to do what kind of task. And so with the rapid development of the brain-computer interface, the global market of the brain-computer interface is experiencing unprecedentedly rapid growth. And by 2029, it will grow to around $4 billion US dollars, and with a compound annual growth rate of around 15%. And currently, the North America would be the largest market, and Asia is expected to have the market worth 3.4 billion US dollars by 2033, which will be the fastest growing region. And the market is forecasted to grow with CAGR of around 52% from 2023 to 2033. And here's the questions: is with the development and application of the brain-computer interface, there are also some challenging we are facing. And the left side of these concerns is relevant to the clinical applications of brain-computer interface. And the first is the safety and efficiency. The surgery may cause some infections and even some irreversible brain damages to some use case. And the biocompatibility is also an important issue of invasive devices, because now maybe the chips can only insert into the brain for maybe 5 years or even 10 years. But after that, maybe we should redoing this surgery. It may cause more damage to our brain or body. So we need to pay attention to this kind of development of the inserted devices. And as the use case of DBS, the DBS to cure some Parkinson, and it may cause some self-elimination. It may change some patients' emotions, behaviors, and interests. And when the technology can go to the market, and we're facing the fairness and deployment, and about whether we could include this technology into the health insurance. And despite whether it's invasive or non-invasive, autonomy and brain privacy is our priority concerns. But we don't need to fear about this invasive one, because as I said before, it's not just it cannot read every thought of our brain. It also needs our corporate. So it's it's safe to some extent to doing this kind of invasive routine in the surgery. And the brain privacy is also the risk of our neural data links problems. And to the disclosure of psychological states is also one of the important concern of these problems, and also may to some extent to read our potential revelation of our deep emotions. And after the technologies can maybe control our cars, if there are some accidents, how can we distribute our responsibilities? So this is the preconditions to let these technologies go into the market. And there's some use case of Neuralink. And there's something maybe we could pay attention to. But most of it have been solved. And in Tsinghua universities, and they also have some semi-invasive routine, and which can reduce the injuries to the brain. And it also, we need to concern about the long-term implications about the unknown risks. And in some industry applications, maybe we should focusing on some infringements on workers' autonomy, some violation of neural data privacy, and unfair treatment among workers, but it's a long run. Just after this can be used at the maybe enterprise. And we've also facing these challenges in AI era. So it's a similar problems. If we could solve AI challenges, we could also solve the challenges brain-computer interface bring to us. And these years, United States has enacted the Protection Privacy of Biological Data Act. And California is added neural data to its Privacy Act. And yes, several states have already taken some actions to bring this privacy protection into the law. And European Union has also published the first European declaration to protect digital rights in the development of neurotechnologies. And in China, we have published ethical guidelines for brain-computer interface in the perspective of research. And in China, we are not so very supportive to encourage the enhancement technologies. We think we should have the solutions to control the risk, and then we do that in very, it's a high level, maybe to the extent of post-humanism, that kind of enhancement. And and we also focusing on the safety, autonomy, privacy, fairness, and accountability about the applications. And of course, it's very important breakthrough is the UNESCO's, yes, in this year, May. and have published the draft recommendations on the ethics of neurotechnologies. It's also a great breakthrough. I think in the future, a brain-computer phase must have a very bright future, because actually, to the view of the benefit and risk, of course, its benefit is higher than the risk. But we should just find the solutions. How can we solve this kind of risk and problems? And then we will welcome the bright future of its widely used. And I believe the day will come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gu, for your interesting talk. Do we have any questions from the audience? Oh, there's one question. Let's figure out that.
Good evening. You have mentioned self-alienation as one of the issue under ethical aspects of the BCA, right? Do you have any proven fact of how a patient is becoming self-alienated and self-alienation?
Oh, self-alienation.
Alienation. So, do you have any proven fact of how a patient becomes self-alienated, and how do you monitor their emotions, and on what measures do you take that they are brought to their original pattern?
Yes, it's a very good question, because I went to the 301 hospital and even talked to the doctors and the patients. And one Pakistan patient, and she told me after she entered DBS, she felt, to some extent, I feel like I'm a robot. And why? But I asked her why. And she said that I always need to charging for myself. If I cannot charge, I will maybe I will suffer from the disease the disease maybe she will suffer from some accident, because she may be lose control because of this disease, and before the surgery, and she was paralyzed, and she cannot live by herself. But after these surgeries, she can come to Beijing from the other side, from the other cities, and she can live alone. And it's very helpful, actually, at the first. And then I think there is some breakthrough at the technical levels. If in the future, maybe the charging will be more convenient, and maybe you don't need to charge every day. It depends on the technology about the battery, and how large is it, and what it look like. So it also depends on the development of the technologies. It could be solved, I believe, in the futures. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome to the second panel session. So we'll discuss industrialization and commercialization of BCI. And so we have three speakers. Myself, I'm Ryota Kanai. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Araya, based in Japan. And the second speaker will be Aoife Ning, the founder and CEO of Xinray. And the final speaker will be Yihan Wan from iFlyTech. Okay, so let me start with my own presentation. I should be mindful about time. So 8 minutes each, right? One moment. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to be brief. So my company is an AI company, but also building neurotechnology. And so since we do many things, I just want to give you a general highlight. So on the left side, in my company, we work on speech decoding from EEG in human subjects. And we found the so-called scaling law. So basically, if you keep collecting like a lot of EEG data, actually, it is possible to decode speech even with non-invasive EEG. And the second part is a little bit more fundamental research, but I've been interested in consciousness, and I've been trying to implement theories of consciousness with modern deep learning architecture. So now, no, I'm not claiming that we're making AI conscious, but it's a kind of research. And on the right side, I lead a big government grant program called Moonshot, which is initiated by the Cabinet of Japan. And so in that program, I support 24 principal investigators in Japan and also internationally. So for example, you might know someone like Edward Chan at UCSF or David Graydon at University of Melbourne. So it is a slightly international, but mainly a Japanese project. And finally, in this project, we have a really moonshot-like ambitious idea of establishing some sort of telepathy, brain-to-brain communication, decoding information from one brain and stimulating another brain using optogenetics, holographic optogenetics. And then in between, we use alignment of latent space in AI. So these are the range of things I work on. And okay, and then here, I'm highlighting the scaling law I mentioned, and I'm very excited about this project. So we wanted to push the boundary of non-invasive EEG. So of course, if we use implants, we know we can collect a lot of interesting information. But on the other hand, there's a risk of surgery. Of course, if there's a good reason to do that, I think it's feasible. But on the other hand, we've been frustrated with the limitation of non-invasive EEG. But here, after collecting roughly 200 hours of data from this one single subject, we managed to achieve nearly 80% accuracy in a task where we try to predict the word the person is saying out of 500 words. So it's a very high accuracy for non-invasive method. And so initially we used this very high density scalp EEG. We covered just the left hemisphere, but if we use this for the entire head, it's about 1,000 channels. But we focused on the left hemisphere using 128 channels. Yeah. But this was a little bit invasive because this person had to shave his head every day. But then later we replicated this with more standard cap EEG, and then it still works. And this shows we can also do this for reconstructing the speech. And also, what's most exciting for us was, of course, we were decoding overt speech, so that, so actually you can hear the sound. And there's also concerns about muscle activity and things like that. But our real goal was to use this for recovering speech in patients with ALS. So this person is working as an engineer in my company, but he also has an ALS. And so, but with ALS patient, it's difficult to synchronize actual speech with the EEG because there's no real sort of audible speech. But here, what we did was we collected a lot of data from healthy subjects. Here it's 300 hours. 300 hours isn't that much for AI, but speaking for 300 hours is really hard. So it is what we tried. And so, but what this graph shows is basically we found some sort of transfer from healthy from the healthy participants to the patient. So, but here we are reaching still 48%. So it's not as good as for our healthy participants, but still it's pretty good. And we're excited about it. And also in our Moonshot project, we really, so when we started this Moonshot project, actually a lot of people in Japan were worried that we may be sort of implanting dangerous stuff to the human brain, and so there's a lot of conspiracy theory as well. But I think it was very important to make this technology trustworthy for the public. So we started writing these kind of guidebooks and evidence books so that to communicate the current state of neurotechnology to the public. And the evidence book is particularly interesting because there are a lot of statements and claims about what you can do with neurotechnology, but sometimes there's not enough science behind it. So we wanted to evaluate whether certain claims are scientifically valid or not. For example, like a lot of people associate alpha wave with relaxation, but then actually, even experts don't know whether it's really true or not. So in that sense, we did the so-called systematic review and meta-analysis to assess such evidence. And also, so today, you heard from a few people, like you, and also from Hervé and Dimitar. So I've been also involved in this drafting of UNESCO's recommendation. And so, so since we believe it's very important to sort of discuss ethical implications and discuss some sort of like how we implement standards and guidelines on the deployment of this kind of technology in society. So I think in this sense, this UNESCO's recommendations are a really important initiative. And also, we, in the Moonshot project, we do what we call intravascular BCI. So maybe many of you know the company called Synchron, which uses stent to record from the inside of the vein. And what we do is we develop this kind of helical electrode, which is made of like very flexible thin film, and that works as an electrode. And the reason why we are doing this is a stent is very hard, and actually Synchron's stent rod can only go into the superior sagittal sinus, which is the biggest vein in the middle, but there are like thinner veins over the cortex, and then they are very soft and fragile. But if you can reach there, you can record from many different regions using the same approach as Synchron. And so we are developing this device, and actually we have been successful with this technology to record cortical activities in pigs so far. But in the next few years, we also want to try this in humans after testing safety. Okay, so I covered a lot of things, and yeah, thank you very much. So if you have any questions. Dimitar.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. I have a question about your last slides. I mean, have you evaluated the risk of brain thrombosis with your approach, because it's vein thrombosis, because it's kind of risky? This is also my comment also to the Synchron's technology in general.
Oh yeah. So there's a risk. So yeah, we have tested up to about 2 months so far, and then it's okay. But but I think we need to evaluate for safety for like many more animals, and so I think it takes time.
Since there is no more time, so
okay,
the question may be conducted offline. Okay.
Talk later. Okay, so
Please experts control your speech time. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you go first. Yeah.
这有个全屏是吧？这个。Full screen mode, yeah. 哎，
这个是往下的是吧？
但好像不行。它这个怎么放不了呢？那只能挪过去了。但这样你看得见吗？
行，可以，没问题。
你这样刚才看后边讲。它这个电脑我不太会用。
行。So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone. I'm Wang Yihan from iFlyTech, a leading AI company in China, and it is a great honor to gather here with all of you for this exchange. So, technological advancements are integrating into every aspect of economic and social development at an unprecedented pace, becoming the crown engine driving high-quality growth over the next decade. Now, let's talk about the development of AI and explore how companies like iFlyTech are promoting AI to collaborate with humans across various industries to create value together. So, looking back at human history, every technological revolution has profoundly changed the way we think and the way we live. In recent years, AI technology has made breakthrough process in speech recognition, natural language understanding, image processing, and knowledge reason. iFlyTech has been deeply focused on these key areas, not only driving the intelligent upgrade of industry, but also reshaping how people interact with information, enabling machines to understand, to serve, and to assist humans. So undeniably, AI's substitution effect has led to change in employment structure. So AI is not meant to replace humans, but to amplify human abilities. But by having AI handle repetitive tasks, we can free up more human resource to focus on creative, judgment, and structured work, truly achieving a human-AI complementary advantage. So humans have emotions, institution, and creative. Machines excel at massive computation, fast processing, and information storage. A truly efficient future must be one of deep collaboration between human and machines, combine their strategy to achieve a systemic leap far beyond individual capability, creating a synergy where 1 + 1 is bigger than 2. So history shows that every technological revolution eliminated old jobs while creating many new ones. The AI era is not different. New technological drive new demands and new professions, which are the internal force behind industry upgrades. So here, Kasparov, a top chess player, understands the power of human-machine collaboration. In that match, two mature teams with a machine to beat a supercomputer and grandmaster by combining machine calculation with human judgment and leveraging both strategies. So, the future worth looking forward to is not AI surpassing human, but the surpass of human plus AI. So let me divide the rest of presentation into two parts. First, I will share the current development of AI through iFlyTech work. Then I will explore how AI can deeply integrate with human capabilities. Currently, AI has entered a new era represented by large language model. This technological breakthrough has not only greatly enhanced the natural needs and the depths of human-computer interaction, but also opened it up new possibility for achieving truly intelligent cooperation. So here, let's take a look at recent progress. Thanks to our multi-microphone arrow technology and algorithms innovation, our speech recognition accuracy has reached over 95%. Building on this powerful speech recognition technology, where has machine translation technology developed it to now? So traditional machine translation relied heavily on direct word-to-word mapping, which often ignored context and result in stiff or unnatural translations. But today, with breakthrough in natural language understanding, translation systems have evolved dramatically. And iFly Tech uses deep learning to empower systems with semantic reasoning and enabling them to recognize logical relationships and contextual meanings. Choosing the most appropriate translation accordingly, this human-like understanding leads to smoother and more natural translations. So take speech synthesis as another example, using the global standard mean opinion score, where 5.0 represents a professional broadcaster. Our AI voice synthesis system now scored 4.5, nearly indistinguishable from a human voice. More importantly, this technology is improving lives, especially for visually impaired, creating a warmer and a more inclusive world. So if the past was the era of AI technologies, then now we're fully entering the age of large language model since the launch of ChatGPT. LM have become the new global focus. As a long-time leader in AI, iFly Tech continues to release update, industry-tailored large language model, grounded in solid technological foundation and practical applications. We've successfully integrated large language model across industry with more than 20 domain-specific models and over 300 real-world application scenarios. So here in education, AI enables personalized, intelligent learning paths. And in healthcare, our medical large language model serves as both a doctor assistant and a personal health company. In finance, AI is revolutionizing customer service, marketing, risk control, accelerating digital productivity. In industry, AI is empowering the transformation and upgrading of manufacturing. So the value of AI in the end lands in better serving humans. Only by stick to people-centered approach and promoting collaboration between humans and machines can AI truly reach its potential. Although AI has made many breakthroughs, it still cannot replace human creative emotions and value judgment. It should be a tool to help humans improve their ability, not the one make all the decisions. Going back to the 4-task guarantee we mentioned earlier. So let's think about traditional robotic arms. On assembly lines where work is repetitive, robotic arms replace manual labor, a shift that allows people to focus on tasks that need to more creative. Today, with the rise of AI, we're going through a similar transformation and revolution of human-AI collaboration. Just like robotic arms change how we work with machines back then, AI is now redefined our relationship with tools. So iFly Rack For time-consuming and repetitive tasks, like meeting notes or interview transcription, AI and human collaboration can greatly boost efficiency and free up human effort. This not lighten the workload, but also makes room for more creative and high-value works. And for repetitive tasks like film and TV dubbing, we launched the iFlyTech dubbing platform, offering a human AI collaborative translation and voice cover solution. It supports over 14 languages and has been successfully used in large multilingual settings such as Paris Olympics. And when we watch TV show, movies, or short video, we often see subtitle at the bottom of the screen, what we call closed captions, and actually a visual and textual representation of an AI content, of the audio content. They include not just dialogue, but also description of background sounds effect, and even translation like Chinese to English. This type of captioning is especially important as meaning of communication for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. So AI is not only improves efficiency in repetitive tasks, but also shows great potential in creative work, especially in writing, content generation, and idea inspiration. AI has become an indispensable second brain. So here, I like writing. So I find writing works like this. It helps people to spark imagination and reduce the workload during writing. With a vast number of data models, iFlyTech writing can quickly provide a great idea on given topic by combining resources from around the world. But when it comes to the specific context, only human truly knows the most suitable or the best way to express. For example, yes, okay. So let's move to the. So at today's date, brain computer into BCI technology is bringing increasingly significant help to people with disability and has become important direction in these cutting-edge fields. We hope that in the future, BCI and AI can integrate organically to provide more efficiency and human support for people who with disability, and helping them better integrate into society and improve their quality of life. In fact, the meaning of AI goes far beyond business or international communication. It is also bring more warmth to the society. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, so I think we need to move on. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. So yeah, let's move on to our final speaker from Xin Ray. So
Ming.
Ming.
Mr. Ming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to make a quick presentation of that. Okay, good afternoon. In this presentation, I'd like to introduce you a breakthrough device for treating human opiate addiction. That is a big problem in the human being, okay? That device developed by Xingri with 15 years effort, okay, with a long journey, with the first research and the development of IC and the device, and then we spent more than 10 years for clinical research and the trials, okay? And then the device is one type of a BCI interface product. We call it Combo Stim DBS. Sorry. Yeah. As you know, actually, BCI is explained as two dimensions. First dimension is invasive and non-invasive, okay? And then second direction is brain-device interface. And then device-brain interface. What we are working on for DBS is an invasive device-brain interface. Actually, DBS is widely, application is now in Parkinson's disease. Okay, we spent actually more than 15 years. Okay, after I found the company, we put a big effort on DBS, trying to make the research for psychiatric, refractory psychiatric diseases. That is simply the DBS, how it implants and how it works, and the doctors programming the parameters and then stimulate the certain nucleus in the deep brain and to restore the patient's symptoms. Addiction is a human problem. For each several years, the general science will list the human problems need to be solved. What we don't know, and the addiction is always in the list. Okay. Sorry. Actually, drug addiction characterized three big main points. The first one is emerging of a negative physical and emotional status when the drug access is prevented. Okay, that craving caused the patient, okay, be crime, be illness, and be unacceptable by the society. And then the patient lost the control of limiting the intake. That caused the patient overdose death. The third character is the most difficult one for helping these people. Any cure-related drugs can trigger relapse even after protracted abstinence. This is a very, very difficult thing to treat these kind of people. So this is what we designed for treating addicted people. That's not the version I last present. Actually, for addicted people, there are main three plasticities change with their brain circuit function. The first change is their reward system, centralized with the nucleus accumbens, to have the patient has the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. And then during the addiction, they start to form a memory impulse, memory impulse problems to hijack the brain. And the long-term hijacked the brain cause the prefrontal cortex is weak to control themselves. So the way we designed the DBS is to stimulate simultaneously in two targets. First target is the nucleus accumbens to modulate the status of their reward system. The second target is anterior lobe of internal capture to suppress their strong impulse to hijack the brain, okay, simultaneously. So this is the actual patient. You can see the two targets in nucleus accumbens and ALEC. The red, you can see the red. I I'll show you. You can see the red area with the stimulation. Sorry, I can skip that. You didn't change the slides. Okay. Regarding the long journey of the research, we spent more than 10 years for the first progress is the single-arm clinical study with 11 patients. Okay, start from year 2014. We have a single-arm clinical study to verify the hypothesis of controlling brain disease circuit, short-term and long-term efficacy, side effects, and the safety of the product and the technologies. The second progress we made is after that result come out, we have a multi-center randomized controlled clinical trial start from year 2018 with a 60 patient enrollment, and scientifically and comprehensively verify the efficacy and the safety of dual target DBS for drug addiction treatment. And the experts, clinical experts and the scientists, when we talk about, when we involved in this project, they are all very, cautious, okay, because this is brand new things in the human being, and they rigorous, very rigorous on that. So they made 2 sectional, assessment independently, 5 top, experts, okay, independently they make 2 sectional assessment of all the patients we did for long-term efficacy and any adverse side effect has. This is the result. Multi-center clinical trials have demonstrated that the abstinence rate of a patient treated with DBS reach 80% of 6 months, 80% of abstinence in 6 months after implant. And the compared with control group, it is significant. And then 10 years follow-up shows abstinence rate is 96%, okay, with the third-party assessment. There's no adverse side effects of the patient health, personality, cognition, life, and work. Most of them, they're going back to the normal life. A DBS device could be removed. This is very, very important. After 2 years stimulation, that means their addiction can be cured, fully restored. So this is, most of our patients are already removed after 2 years. So this DBS product, with the safety aspect, all the product-related safety, we have a group of standard, rule to obey. And with the new indication for this addiction, we're still working on the implant safety, usage safety, removal safety, because it should be removed, and then the safety of the remaining parts in the body. Some patients, they have some remaining parts. We are working on the safety standard on that. Sorry. Thank you. Please be, I can say, be tuned. All the data are already hand on our China NMPA, National Medical Product Administration. The first approval of, I think, will be coming pretty soon. That could be the first treatment product for BCIs on addiction, opium addiction for heroin, opium, and fentanyl. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have time? No time? We have to go on?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, yeah.
After that.
Yeah, okay. If you have any questions, let's talk later. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the last session will be use 10 or to 15 minutes and there's two speakers to give their excellent speech to us. The firstly is the Professor Sarab. Yeah, Sarab, Mr. Karab Sarab come from the Northwest University in the United States. Please welcome Professor Sarab. Okay. Thank you.
I have a PowerPoint here. Yep. This one, I think. So, yeah.
Awesome. Check, is this working? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's the end of the day, everyone's tired, but I'll keep this short and interesting. So I'm Saurabh, I'm from Western University in London, Ontario, Canada, and I'm also a co-founder of Propel Focus. I'll briefly touch on that as we talk. I'm going to be talking about how I'm using AI and BCIs for improving psychiatry, hence the moniker Psych AI Tree. So, since you're tired and your mind is going to be wandering back to what kind of foods Geneva has to offer outside, your mind is going to be switching between my talk, trying to listen to me, and then switching outwards. I'm hungry. I need to go eat some cheese fondue or chocolate, whatever you like. This switching between internal thoughts and external thoughts is something that is very important in everyday tasks. This has been shown to be linked with very core connected areas in the brain in what you term brain networks. So these are synchronized areas of the brain that work together to compute certain tasks. So you can see on the top, there's sensory stuff. So there's auditory networks, visual networks, sensory motor networks. But you also have higher level function networks down here for attention, networks about salience, identifying what is important in the environment, and then executive and default mode. Default mode is where you think more about your internal self. So there is this idea where you switch between the default mode and the executive, and the salience determines how you switch between these. So what we'll see next is how these networks kind of fail in certain mental health disorders. I'm going to specifically be talking about PTSD. On the left, you are looking at how the brain connectivity looks like across about 200. This is one of the largest studies of PTSD versus healthy individuals. And this is MRI data, so this is very high resolution information. How it differs from healthy data. You can see red meaning those connections are higher connected, and blue meaning those connections are lower than healthy. In this PTSD on the left, you can see that there are some that are higher, some that are lower, and most of them are to do with regions that have to do with processing external information. So they're processing it very abruptly, very differently, and more threat-like. But on the right, what you see is a subtype of PTSD called the dissociative subtype. As the name suggests, the people in this subtype, about 30 to 40% of people with PTSD have this subtype. They are dissociated. So instead of being hyperactive and being hypervigilant, they are suppressed, they're frozen, they are dissociated from their body. Their networks look very different. It's very hyper-connected all across the board. And these are the people that are treatment resistant. It's very hard to treat these because exposure therapy shuts them down. And you're not able to get into different networks. Exposure therapy is the current gold standard for this kind of therapeutics. So how do you get in touch with them? How do you get them in touch with networks so that we can then actually treat them? And that's the goal on what we're going to be talking about today. Another interesting fact that we kind of discovered by looking at this work is human factors, like we're talking about before in this session. Looking at joint modeling of human factor data and the brain data, we found that those dissociative factors, the dissociation is driven by CTQ, which stands for childhood trauma. So this is the first actual evidence to show that childhood trauma is tightly linked with this form of dissociation further down in life. So this shows and establishes evidence on how different subtypes of PTSD might evolve and develop. But then how do you use this clinically? As I said, this is all fMRI data, right? So how do you actually, you can't go scanning every person that thinks they have PTSD. It's very expensive. So this work is where we took simultaneous EEG and fMRI data and developed a model that can actually learn simultaneously from both of them. And then you take the fMRI away, and now you have EEG-only data. So with just EEG, you can actually predict which of those networks is active and when. So you can see on the right here, each dot, different colored dot, is a different network, and they're separated after we've gone through the AI modeling. And we are then able to easily predict and segment the space and tell which network is active when using just EEG data. So using this, we have now translated all those findings we had developed in the lab with fMRI data into something that is now clinically feasible using EEG. So taking this information, we used this to understand how the brain networks changed, and we did a study with youth in depression, and we showed that you can actually track this before and after. Going beyond tracking, can we actually modulate these brain networks? Can we change these brain networks? That's the next question. So, it's not moving next. It's not responding, 1 second. Seems to be frozen. Well, 1 second. Okay, so this shows neurofeedback, which is the type of brain-computer interface that can be therapeutic. So what this shows is a flame that is driven by EEG on the right and the left half of the brain. The difference in activity between the right and left halves of the brain is driving the wind that is driving the flame left or right. The goal is to keep it balanced so that the flame roasts the marshmallow, and that is a positive reinforcement. So they're controlling this with their brain activity, and this is a session where they're trying to control it, and they do this over and over again, and the idea is that as they do this more, it retrains their brain to be able to change that brain target that we are using to control this. And that allows us to modulate the brain by playing a game like this. So this kind of a therapeutic BCI we found has a huge impact in what can be done with PTSD symptoms. We see about a 36% reduction in PTSD symptom severity, many of them that are now in remission afterwards. And at post-intervention, they stopped playing this game. So at 3-month follow-up, they're still dropping. And you can also see that it's associated with brain changes. I'll skip over this, but basically associated with brain changes in areas to do with control, in areas to do with executive processing, which in addition to that, we also see changes in social cognition, a lot of these areas that were initially suppressed and not connected anymore. What I really want to talk about as well is how you can customize this to different societal groups. So I'm from Canada, where they have indigenous communities that had to go through a lot of colonial oppression back in the past few centuries. So they have a huge need to treat their PTSD, colonial PTSD, intergenerational PTSD. But no therapies work as well for them because they have not only dissociative PTSD, but also a huge mistrust for the Western medical system. So how do you get over this? So what we did is we worked with the community to develop a customized version of this BCI that worked with them to understand how they talk about healing. So the 4 things you see here are the 4 pillars of this society. What I'd like to draw your attention to is ocean, showing up in interconnectedness. This is an island community that really sees ocean as a part of their ancestors. So if they feel connected to the ocean, they feel healed from their trauma. And this understanding isn't available in today's large language models and AI models because it's specific to that community. So we built and fine-tuned a general model for them to help understand how they are actually understanding healing and assess the brain activity on the right side in conjunction with that. And what we found was associated with when they were finding this kind of improvement in interconnectedness, you see a peak in alpha, peak in this part of brain that shows relaxation. So with this, I'm going to quickly end this. I'm going to quickly show this one device that we built. Driven from this, we really wanted to make it much more accessible. So even though we've already done this with commercial EEG systems, what if people can't even access EEG? So this is a version of the tool we made that is based on webcam only. So you can actually get it for your web browser and use your current system. And it uses your webcam to assess focus. And it uses an AI model we've trained to be able to determine focus and help people with ADHD that has a huge societal impact in terms of cost and mechanism to access. So I'm just going to quickly show this. So this is how it looks. And you basically use this when you start your session. And you can click on it, starts a session, it looks at your face activity, and then it tracks that over time, and from that you can then get an idea of how focused you were, how not focused you were, it gives you insights and stuff of that sort. The idea is this helps us to give this kind of tracking to low socioeconomic status groups that can help them bring them out of this loop that keeps them in low socioeconomic groups. With that, I'd like to quickly end and be happy to chat later if anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sarab. And the last speaker of today's seminar is the Dr. Liang Liyan from CICT. And I think maybe Dr. Liang have 7 minutes to give his speech. Okay, so I know that there are so many questions in us, and I want to discuss with the speakers. So we can, after this meeting, we can discuss on offline. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Liang Lian from China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. Yeah, wait. It's a privilege to share insights on standardization requirement and the current status of brain-computer interface today. First is my insight on BCI technology. Brain-computer interface is a new communication and control channel established between the brain and the external environment, which does not depend on peripheral nerves and muscles. It mainly includes signal acquisition, decoding, command, output, and other paths. And now let's explore the development history of BCI, such as first the concept of germination period from 1920 to 1970, and the scientific demonstration period from 1973 to 1988, and the academic development period. We can see that P300 and BCI based on the movement and BCI based on sensitivity has been researched. And the end is a technology explosion period. Sorry, I need to change my computer because it is broken. I can't see it.
Wow, you have 2 computers.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is broken.
Okay, go on.
This one, yeah. The BCI industry chain encompasses upstream components such as electrode and chipset, and midstream such as the signal collection and decoding, and the downstream applications such as the medical, consumer, industrial applications. And the BCI's potential is amplified when integrated with other cutting-edge technology. For example, artificial plays a core role in decoding brain signals, while BCI serves as a critical application scenarios for AI. In the metaverse is an important application scenarios for BCI, and the BCI is the future interaction mode of the metaverse. And BCI is beyond 5G, and B5G is the foundation for large-scale application of BCI, and BCI is an important future application support for 5G. Here are some pictures that make it easier to see the application scenarios of BCI, such as healthcare, industrial safety, interactive entertainment, and scientific research. Next is the standardization requirement for BCI. Standardization is critical for BCI's health growth, driven by 6 core needed. First is the interoperability, breaking down barriers and build an open ecosystem. The second is the safety and reliability. The third is privacy and ethics. The fourth is the performance evaluation, and the fifth is the lower cost barriers, and the end is the build user trust. And the core contents of BCI standardization, I think, is the continue the 7 layers. The first is the fundamental layers, and the second is hardware layers. The third is the data layers, and the software layers, evaluation layers, safeguard layers, and application layers. And we are the Secretary of China Brain-Computer Interface Industry Alliance. And BCIA have over 250 members and more than 300 experts and more than 60 cities covered. And we do some technology industry research, standard system promotion, and industry exchange platform, or the public science promotion. In 2024, we took the lead to collaborating with over 30 research institutions and enterprise to the technical requirements and testing method for the EEG-based attention monitoring system. This document specifies the principal architecture, technical requirements, and the testing method of an EEG-based monitoring system. This document is applicable to EEG-based attention monitoring system for education and healthcare scenarios. Other systems with the same function should be appropriately referenced and executed. Meanwhile, we have conducted verifying on some EEG attention monitoring products based on this standard. The results show that some of the current products can meet the standard, but they are also affected by significant individual difference among subjects. Next is the current status of BCI standardization. As you can see, SYC at GTC1 SC43 carried out the research and deployment work focusing on the basic common standards such as terminology, reference architecture, typical use case, and data specifications such as AWI 8663 will be realized in this year. And IEEE has many the standard works as shown. And the standard roadmap, neurotechnology for brain-machine interface has been published at 2020. NTU is observing and tracking the BCI. The concept of BCI have been mentioned in the metaverse and AR. In the 2024 AI for Good, brain-computer interface received essential attention and discussion. And FDA has initiated the guideline for no clinical testing of implemented brain-computer interface device. A number of national standards in China, a number of national standards and an industry standard for brain-computer interface has been approved for establishment, covering aspects such as data, communication, technology requirements, and medical applications. Now let's dive into our thoughts on BCI standardization view from three key perspectives. First is the domain perspective. As we can see, BCI have intersect with multiple fields: information, medical, material, communication, and software. The second is the scenario perspective, such as industry, medical, traffic, education, entertainment. And the third is the organization perspective. We need collaboration between different international organizations, such as ISO, IEC, ITU, IEEE, etc. Next is about the cooperation. Now let's dig into the difficulty and the challenge in the standardization of BCI. The first is the concept continue to extend. BCI is the future industry technology and the concept continue to extend. Narrowly defined BCI such as human intention directly control external device. But the generalized BCI is the brain to computer, machine to brain computer to interaction, brain computer intelligence fusion. The second is the multidisciplinary and the cross-industry. First, the BCI involve clinical practice, medical device, electronics, communication, and software is a significant difference across various scenarios. And then the last is the complexity of the system. BCI is a system composed of human, software, and hardware. The results of the online real-person critical tests are affected by individual difference and difficult to repeat and relatively costly. The issue of the software and hardware coordination among the test platform, instrument, and the device under test. BCI standardization faces the unique challenge due to varying technical level, economics, and the technology level, or the law and ethics for different countries.
The time is okay.
So the evolving different standard organization and with some standardization relating to the it is particularly important to rely on the international platform such as ITU for extensive communication and cooperation. Perhaps we can firstly indicate the collaborative development of the consensus documents on such as brain-computer interface standard roadmap, or perhaps we can firstly do something such as BCI for Good on the ITU platform. The content include, for example, overview of BCI for Good, the content status of standardization, or the BCI the system, or the core base for standardization of BCI. Finally, is the reflection on the future vision of BCI. In the future, BCI will be based on brain intelligence, a core connection to achieve better brain cognition, brain rehabilitation, brain enhancement, and brain intelligence. Studies thinking that acting without observation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Yang's share. And now it's time to make a conclusion. Let me to take a moment to reflect on what we have covered. We have had a real productive day diving deeply into the world of BCI and how we can standardize this amazing technology for diverse application. So throughout the day, a few key points kept coming up. One, technique breakthroughs are the driving force here. Without them, we are nowhere. Second, safety and ethics are non-negotiable. If we want this tech to truly benefit everyone, we have to get them right. Three, scenario drives standardization. We need to think about real-world use cases to make our standard effective. Four, standardization empowers trust and development. It's the foundation for everything else. The five, global collaboration is the key to make it all work. We can't do this alone. So when we think about the future of BCI, it's clear that open and inclusive international cooperation is the way to go. We need to work together on standards, ethics, and security to make sure this technology develops in a way that's fair and sustainable for everyone. We believe that a platform like ITU can play a huge role in creating the global framework of BCI standards. And we need to keep collaboration across regions and industries to make sure everyone benefits. So, sincere thanks to our keynote speakers for their insights. Gratitude to all panelists for your valuable perspectives and candid exchanges. Appreciations to every participant for your contribution. And thanks you to the ITO team for your exceptional organization and support. So that's a wrap for today. Thanks for being a part of it. Let's keep the moment going. And see you next year, next AI for Good Summit. Thank you.